Hey guys, Noel here, and it is Saturday night. While we have a little bit of free time on our hands, I thought it would be fun for us to do a review for the anime section of the Noel Comics YouTube channel. Tonight we are going to be reviewing a VHS tape that I got at Eckerd's drugstore that comes with all kinds of interesting inserts. And what are we reviewing? Well, it is the American version of a Japanese show called Gridman, a tokusatsu, and it's the Superhuman Samurai Syber Squad. This is actually a VHS tape that actually comes with a lot of interesting stuff, like temporary tattoos that I will never ever use because I have that collector nerd streak, and then other interesting pamphlets about other stuff from Deke, Buena Vista videos. This anime itself was made by the company that produces Ultraman, which is why the main character looks so much like Ultraman, but this is in fact not a Ultraman TV show. So, you know, when I first saw this, I thought this might actually be something like Super Sentai, you know how ZU Ranger, the stock footage for that got turned into something radically different like Power Rangers. This is actually pretty, there's actually a lot of continuity. This is like pretty stable story-wise with its Japanese version in terms of its plot structure and its premise. So this Superhuman Samurai Syber Squad tape is called to Servo and Protect, and it comes with 2 action-packed episodes of the Superhuman Samurai Syber Squad. And I love shows like this because it combines pretty much the whole trope of the 90s teen show with Japanese action robots, and that is a winning combination for me. So if you're watching something like Boy Meets World or Saved by the Bell, and then you add ninja robots to that, it's a million times better right off the bat. And this is a bit more like Boy Meets World than Saved by the Bell. I think you could argue that the Power Rangers was a bit more like Saved by the Bell, but this has got more of a Boy Meets World vibe to it. Lots of flannel with some, baggy jeans and, hoods and things like that. And it's got that kind of earth tone kind of style to it in terms of its color palette. You can see it right here. So even though it's got some bold, solid colors, it's almost like there's a slight tint of tan to everything, and you kind of got that visual style with Boy Meets World. So, what is the premise of this show? It's the same premise as its Japanese counterpart, Gridman. In fact, there was a Japanese anime that came out in 2018 called SSSS Gridman, so Superhuman Samurai Syber Squad Gridman. Basically, the whole premise of this show is this. You have an angry loner teenager, a very dark, screwed up guy. He ends up encountering a evil, technologically nefarious force within the world of the computer. There's kind of like 2 dimensions. There's the flesh and blood world, and then the world of the internet, basically. And within the world of the internet, there is this cruel conqueror. In this series, he's called Kilo-kan, and this angry loner hacker kid ends up, kind of almost bonding with Kilo-kan, and they decide to wreak havoc on the human and cyber world. And the flip side of that is the cool, ethical teens. They end up encountering the good guy of the internet world, and in this show, it's called Servo. And this is like literally hemorrhaging inserts right now, which is totally fine. Anyway, now the main character is played by Matthew Lawrence, who was in Boy Meets World. He was Sean Hunter's second half brother The one that didn't pull a knife on Corey, of course, I'm talking about Eddie Hunter, who was stealing camcorders from the AV club and selling them on the black trailer park market. Matthew Lawrence was the cool half brother, Jack. He was Eric's roommate. Anyway, he decided to not take the dark path that Eddie Hunter took, which is why he became a recurring character, and he's also a guy with a positive attitude in Superhuman Samurai Syber Squad 2, Servo and Protect. He has three other friends, a jock, Blossom, and then a lovable nerdy guy who has a crush on a substitute teacher who his friends think is a beastly elderly woman, and then they kidnap him to try to do an intervention to try to make him not try to romantically pursue a 70-year-old woman that's very brawny and has a hairy mole on her. But eventually they realize that, friends are friends and they're all there for each other, and they're like, you go get her, Tiger. We don't care if she's 40 years older than you and has a mustache. And he's like, what are you talking about? And then a really attractive substitute teacher walks in. Now, the 90s and 80s were kind of a different time in terms of I guess it wasn't as crazy a topic for student teacher interactions, but that's a huge no-no. And but in the world of Superhuman Samurai Syber Squad, it's just framed as kind of a silly nerdy boyhood crush kind of thing. So that's pretty much the first episode. Is that's the premise, the Boy Meets World style premise, is this dating intervention, and mixed into that is the friends being there for each other as they fight in the cyber world, and then that transfers over to them accepting their nerdy buddy and his eccentric romantic tastes. The second episode on this, and you can see the fight scenes have a very cool style. This is I've watched other videos and things talking about how this is one of the first this is, I believe, the first tokusatsu filmed on advanced tape as opposed to film, giving it a different look than something like Jetman or Zyuranger, which has a real kind of rich warmth, hissing and cracking to it kind of thing. But this looks like a very cool high-tech camcorder filled this, the VHS of the future. There's our cool nerdy dude right there. And the thing I like about Superhuman Samurai Syber Squad, in Saved by the Bell, the kids were jerks to Screech. They were jerks to nerdy guys. This guy here, everyone's super chill and cool with each other, despite the fact that they kidnap him from doing something vomit-inducing. But still, it's fun. So it's a fun premise, right? You have these silly teenage problems and scenarios that are kind of escapist fantasy, and then to kind of up the escapist fantasy, you add robots and the internet. And another thing I should add about this is this show is pretty much a 30-minute product placement for Compaq products. Now, if you don't know what Compaq is a sadly now discontinued brand of computers that was really popular in the early to mid 90s. In fact, my stepdad used to work for Compaq when he was in the tech industry. But by the time I met him, Compaq was already gone. So it's a lot of kids on Compaq computers, and then good or bad cyber beings will be on the monitors with the Compaq logo very clearly underneath. So good stuff. Nice nerd swag right there. Anyway, the second episode is a fantasy of mine where Matthew Lawrence ends up getting sucked into a camcorder when he tries to approach the evil, angry loner teen who is in league with the evil forces of the cyber world. And he's like, hey, man, Malcolm, the kid's name is Malcolm, the evil loner kid. He's like, Malcolm, you look lonely. You want to hang out with me and my friends? Because he's not like Matthew Lawrence's character. He's a cool guy, right? He does what he's supposed to do. And you know what his reward for that is? Malcolm works with Kilo Khan to suck him into a camcorder. Now, one of my fantasies is to live in a beta VCR, so I don't see why that would be a problem, but he's the only person in there, and he starts going a little stir crazy, so his friends find a way to rescue him, and all is resolved. But yeah, so if you want to see Matthew Lawrence with some cool kids and a girl that looks like Blossom fight robots, and the cool thing about this is that with the Ultraman style genre that this is, the heroes, rather than summoning these like dialectical robots with these kind of like Confucian values, right? The many merge into the one force kind of thing, right? Pulling from Hegel and Confucius. And then they become the super awesome robot being, which is awesome. I love that trope. But with this, you end up getting not the metal heroes, but the Ultraman style heroes, like literally growing up to like be building size, and then you have these elaborate fights like what you're seeing right here. And really, again, the plot structure, I've seen an episode of Gridman, which is a freaking amazing opening. In fact, on my friend project page, which is basically MySpace, the 2006-2004 MySpace, it now exists under a site called Friend Project. I have coded in my page the opening to Gridman because it's such a catchy song. But Gridman's structure is very similar. 3 nice kids, 1 angry loner. The good and the bad guys of the cyber world end up acting through these kids. So the fight happens both in the real world and in the cyber world. This was syndicated and was a response to the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. It's a very, very good show. This is a fun VHS tape that I got for next to nothing at Eckerd's Drugstore when I was an undergrad in college. In fact, I actually bought this for a friend because he had told me he was into Superhuman Samurai Syber Squad, and I'm like, oh, they have a Superhuman Samurai Syber Squad tape at Eckerd's. And I bought it and I watched it just because I was curious. Because I remember seeing it syndicated when I was little, and it was just kind of on in the background, and I never really checked it out for more than like a handful of minutes. And then I liked this so much that I went to him. I said, it's Peter, who's been on the channel. We reviewed Soul Calibur and Street Fighter together with Santino. I'm like, Peter, I'm gonna keep this tape. It's too good. I'm sorry. So, yeah, we were fine. He didn't really care. He's not like me in the sense that he's not as committed to hanging on to VHS tapes as I am. But yeah, this is a really good one. I've heard that Pluto TV, I don't think they're doing it anymore because I looked into it, but Pluto TV, the free cable service that comes through Vizio televisions, and you can download Pluto on things like Roku, that they at one point had Superhuman Samurai Syber Squad on demand. They still might through the Saturday Morning Cartoons channel, but I tried to find that and I could not find it on demand. So it's quite possible that it's no longer on demand through that. But this ran for 53 syndicated episodes, and it is good stuff. It was out in the mid-90s, so like 94, 95, and a good time was had by all. If you like the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, then you will really like Superhuman Samurai Syber Squad. It is definitely on par with Power Rangers. Power Rangers was so good that it was actually released in Japan. So basically, it was like Zeo Ranger footage got turned into Power Rangers, and then Power Rangers was so good that Japan actually got its own. They got Power Rangers redubbed in Japanese. This show, this is where they kidnap him and try to get him to like women who aren't 70 years old. So the cool jock guy is basically like trying to force feed him like girls on cars, which is, it is what it is. So anyway, this series ends up getting referenced in the anime that came out in 2018 and is, again, quite similar to its Japanese predecessor. So this series, in a way, also was reintroduced in Japan and had a presence in Japan, despite the fact that it was the cool version. Not that it's cooler than the Japanese version, but like the version with like the cool American kids, as opposed to the cool Japanese kids, which are both two cool groups with two different flavors. I'm rambling a little bit now, so we're going to wrap up this review, but check it out, the Superhuman Samurai Syber Squad to Servo and Protect tape, and watch it, watch the rest of the series, and until next time, my name is Noel, you take care, and I will see you in the very near future. Bye-bye.